Welcome to 5 Minutes in the Word, a daily devotional in the Word of God.
In the opening chapters of the book of Daniel, Daniel and his friends are taken into Babylonian captivity. Now, in this captivity, they're going to face many challenges, but it is so encouraging to see time and time again that they rise to these challenges and they remain faithful there before God. Today, I want to turn our attention to Daniel chapter 1, and we're going to see Daniel and his friends and others being taken into captivity, and we're going to see how they respond here in these earliest days. It says, in the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with some of the articles of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God, and he brought the articles into the treasure house of his God. Then the king instructed Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, to bring some of the children of Israel and some of the king's descendants and some of the nobles, young men in whom there was no blemish, but good-looking, gifted in all wisdom, possessing knowledge and quick to understand, who had ability to serve in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the language and literature of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed for them a daily provision of the king's delicacies and of the wine which he drank, and 3 years of training for them, so that at the end of that time they might serve before the king. Now from among those of the sons of Judah were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. To them the chief of the eunuchs gave names. He gave Daniel the name Belteshazzar, to Hananiah Shadrach, to Mishael Meshach, and to Azariah Abednego. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with a portion of the king's delicacies, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the chief of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now God had brought Daniel into the favor and goodwill of the chief of the eunuchs. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who has appointed your food and drink. For why should he see your faces looking worse than the young men who are your age? Then you would endanger my head before the king. So Daniel said to the steward, whom the chief of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days, and let them give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance be examined before you, and the appearance of the young men who eat the portion of the king's delicacies. And as you see fit, so deal with your servants. So he consented with them in this matter, and tested them 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, their features appeared better and fatter in flesh than all the young men who ate the portion of the king's delicacies. Thus the steward took away their portion of delicacies and the wine that they were to drink, and gave them vegetables. As for these 4 young men, God gave them knowledge and skill in all literature and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Now at the end of the days, when the king had said that they should be brought in, the chief of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. Then the king interviewed them, and among them all none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore they served before the king. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding about which the king examined them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers who were in all his realm. Thus Daniel continued until the first year of King Cyrus. Now I know that's a lengthy reading there and these 21 verses, but as we look here in Daniel chapter 1, we see that Daniel and his friends, that they're taken, they're part of this group that are good looking, that are smart, that are intelligent, that are strong, that they're taken into Babylonian captivity, and they're supposed to be taught in this few year period of time. They're supposed to be taught the ways of the Chaldeans, taught their literature, taught how to act, taught how to be. That they, as the Chaldeans, as the Babylonians, they were trying to change these young men into being something that they were not. And that would even include their diet and the kind of foods they ate and to what they put before them. And Daniel and his friends, they remained faithful to this. They did not want to corrupt themselves or pervert their way of living by giving in to these delicacies and these wines and things that were from the king's table. That instead, they ate vegetables, they ate water, drank water, and they were found to be in stronger appearance and better looking than those that had continued on in the king's delicacies, to the point that those provisions were taken away from the others, so that they too would eat of these vegetables and drink of water. But even in the realm of understanding and skill and knowledge and the ability, as it says for Daniel, in understanding visions and dreams, Daniel and his friends were found faithful before God, and therefore, God blessed them. And in all matters, it says there in verse 20, in all matters of wisdom and understanding about which the king examined them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers who who were in all his realm. And so we see here that Daniel and his friends were faithful there before God. And I think there's a lot of lessons we can learn from this today. When things come up in our life and people are trying to get us to conform to this world's way of living, we don't need to do so. We need to stay faithful to God, knowing that he will see us through. And we also know that as God's people, that we have a standard that we are to set for our life. It's his standard, it's God's standard. And that is the way that we conduct ourselves and live. And if we will do that, if we will be faithful before him, we will be found pleasing before God, and we will be rewarded with that great eternity in heaven. So today, let's be like Daniel and his friends. Let's be faithful. Let's be obedient to the word of God. Let's not conform to the ways of this world, and let's be found faithful.